Puerto Vallarta. To many of us, the name conjures up visions of warm, sandy beaches, swaying palm trees, beautiful sunsets, and a fascinating cultural experience. On the surface, the city of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, seems to be a modern and prosperous community, but the prosperity is shared by very few. Below the surface, Puerto Vallarta has a large, economically challenged population and many who struggle with alcohol and drug abuse. In addition, poor education and a cultural history of treating women as second-class citizens all contribute to a high rate of domestic violence.
I suffered for 18 years. Not to say that I suffered every day, but I lived in constant fear. I was living a nightmare I could not wake up from and could no longer live.
In Puerto Vallarta, 50 to 70% of women have suffered some sort of domestic violence, physical, economic, sexual, or psychological. 82% of women decided not to report it.
I'm 34, I've been married for 18 years, and I have 3 children. I'm not sure why I lived with the violence for so long. I would never say or do anything other than cry. I cried a lot. I was the victim of beatings and threats. I was threatened with knives and guns. He even threatened to kill my children if I left him.
According to Amnesty International, every year thousands of Mexican women and hundreds of women in Puerto Vallarta who survive violence in their homes are being put at risk of further abuse by a justice system that often fails to take their safety seriously. Women who find the courage to report abuse are often treated with indifference. Officials may refuse to accept complaints, investigations may be half-hearted, and enforcement of protective measures is poor. Even in the most violent of abuse situations, the batterer will only spend up to 36 hours in jail.
When I finally sought help, my husband was put in jail, but his bail was so small he was out of jail the next day. Since there is no safe shelter in or near Puerto Vallarta, and I was in such a dangerous situation, I and my children had to be taken out of town to a shelter 12 hours away.
Few Mexican women who have been the victims of domestic violence seek assistance. Those that do seek help find that there is very little assistance available to them. There is no safe refuge for the victims of domestic violence in Puerto Vallarta, so these women often return to the abusive environment.
Fear and not knowing what to do kept me from seeking help. I think this is something no woman should do, to tolerate, to live through such a situation. To the contrary, she should speak up. She should say what is happening to her. I know of many women that are suffering and do not seek help. Sometimes it's out of fear. Other times, women do not seek help because they just don't know where to go.
There are only about 60 shelters for women victims of violence in all of Mexico, a number completely inadequate to the demand.
If there was a shelter in Puerto Vallarta, people would not have to travel so far and for so long. Women would be more likely to seek help. It would be wonderful. It would be wonderful to have a shelter in Vallarta like the one that I stayed in, because many women are mistreated. Many women are suffering violence and need a place to go. If there was a shelter here, they would not have to leave. I spent 8 months away.
Compassion for the Family is looking for people, groups, and organizations to work with us in Puerto Vallarta. The first step to provide the services to which we are dedicated is to create a safe shelter for women and their children who are the victims of domestic violence. We need your help.
I consider the people that helped me to be angels. They guided me, they supported me, they were with me when I needed them. I want women who are going through the kind of horrible experience that I went through to be able to receive the help I received. I'm a completely different person than the one I used to be.